started.
The apple.
When you were eating an apple, you bit on something hard,
Yeah.
and you took out a silver dollar. Isn't that a queer accident? The truth is, an accident has taken place that's 1,000,000 times more remarkable. You find inside the apple one of these things. 3 specimens. Important and valuable. If I was weighing silver dollars, you wouldn't be sitting quietly. In this seed, you have coded on the DNA molecule all the plans how to produce an apple tree. Now, to produce an apple tree, you must have instructions that would fill 10,000 fat reference volumes. And it's all right here. It's unbelievable. But not only does this seed have 10,000 volumes of instructions, the seed possesses all the factories and laboratories. And everything is here for a grand purpose of opening up our eyes to recognize a great designer. Masterpiece. Looks almost natural.
So what is this? So why is this rabbi talking about apples? So this rabbi, his name is Rabbi Victor Miller, and he gives he has a very interesting, very broad knowledge and very broad. He talks about pretty much everything under the sun, and with different opinions. Don't always agree with them, but that's his train of thought. But anyways, one of the things he does talk about is about Chavas HaBabos. What is Chavas HaBabos? Chavas HaBabos was a book written maybe like 1,000 years ago by a rabbi by the name of Rabbi B'Chaya Ibn Bekuda. He wrote this, and it's a whole method of serving Hashem, starting from like the bottom to the top. So he called them like there are 10 gates, and as you go through each gate, you go to the next one. So the first gate is Shar Yechud, which is what God is. Then you go to Shar Bechina, the gate of examination, the gate of service. So all these things, kind of one gate leads to another, and together they all lead towards total service of Hashem from love. So when I first started at the beginning, I'm only going to cover the 2 gates in this talk. Well, the first gate is, we're not going to cover it all because it's really incomprehensible. In fact, in seminary, they didn't even teach it to us. They told us, this is what it talks about, but please don't read it, because you can, but for most people, they can't handle it. It's not good for you. Like, it's just mind-boggling. It's very philosophical. It's just really beyond most people. So, it covers things like these 3 principles, and nothing creates itself since the act of creating this sense of existence. It's very deep, and say most people it's just beyond comprehensions. They tell people if you probably can't comprehend it properly, so don't even try, because it could really mess with your brain. So there's a whole thing. There's like principles and logic. It's a really philosophy, but really intense. So we're not going to cover it, but I'm just telling you it does exist. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because this whole philosophy is about God, and God is quite unlimited. He's just, let's say, like the sun. Like the sun is great and it keeps us warm, but you can't go too close because you'll burn. So instead we have sun rays, which gently warm us up and light up our world. And if you trace those rays back, you get to the sun. So that's the same thing with God. God is just really unknowable. You can't define him. You can't even get close to him. You can't even say his name. It's just really, really hectic. He's just beyond our comprehension. But if we follow what he does is, he knew that it couldn't be as close, it couldn't be as obvious to us as we would like. It's concrete to us as it could be, because he's just too much. So instead, he does something called tzimtzum, which means he puts himself in our world, and through seeing his reflection of him in our world, we can trace each reflection back to the sun, back to him, not to the sun. Almost like tracing a ray of light back to the sun, so we can see God in nature and trace everything back to Hashem. And therefore, once you understand that Hashem is just this crazy, we can't even define it, really philosophical thing, that Shar Yichud, go to Shar Bechina, which is let's look in nature to find God. And that is what Rabbi Victor Miller talks about, and many people talk about is finding God in nature. But just people want to know how this Chavos works. You have the unity of God, which I told you is like really hectic stuff. The Shar B'China, which is like finding God in our world. And then Shar B'Et Elokim means once you found God in your world, you're like, oh, wait, now this kind of obligates me. If God is so involved, I need to serve him. Talks about that. And then after that, once you're serving Hashem, you're like, oh, wait, now I've invested myself so much. You actually also have to believe that Hashem will take care of you. And so it goes on. I'm not going to go into it. Just saying it's a really great book. If you find a good teacher, enjoy it. But so let's go back to Shar B'China, what we're talking about. So we said we're going to look in nature to find God. So this is what Avigdor Miller says. The question is, should we like open science textbooks or should we like look for it? And he says, no. The best B'China is your own eyes, your own common sense. The world is full of good things to testify to Hashem. This passage says, the good one created all glory for his name. And it says, everything preaches the honor of Hashem. But if you open your eyes, you'll find everything to see. And you don't even need books because you see Avraham Avinu, that's how you realize Hashem. How did Avraham Avinu know that Hashem existed? Because before him, there was no, like, people totally forgotten about monotheism, they totally forgotten about anything. He saw in nature Hashem, and he's like, he traced the rays back to the source. And you realize it has to be Hashem. So let's do that. So let's listen from David Attenborough, and let's get started. This is about seeds, because remember Avigdor Miller talked about in the opening video about how in each apple there's like money, because there's DNA coded in each seed that can make many more apple trees. So let's just talk about seeds for a bit. It's a quick video. It's like 3 minutes. Yeah, so I hope you just bear with me. I think it's interesting.
Perhaps the most important time in the plant's life is when it has...
Can you hear? Okay, so there's also, you can see here, there's also...
We'll start with insect pollinated.
There's insect-pollinated flowers.
Brightly coloured petals.
Which is like a symbiotic relationship.
While flowering plants gain
a food source, pollen nectar, and flowering plants get an opportunity to reproduce. So you can see all these things.
We'll start with
it's not going to be a science lesson, even though I love the stuff. All these things just show how much stuff goes into absolutely everything we do in daily life. But also goes into saying plants and the seeds, what's inside each seed, how it's going to travel, how it's going to go through the travel, how it's going to land, how it's going to know where to land. Everything's just perfect. And that can only be done by a creator. So when you look at those seeds, you can trace back up to the source. And that actual connecting to the source is part of service of God, as the Chavos Havos talks about, is that it's a really amazing thing to trace the source, trace things back to the source. So of course, it'd be great if you go on nature walks every day and you just look at your fingers every now and then, and just see, wow, this is amazing, God's great. But really, sometimes we get too busy. So instead, and additionally, we have brachot. We say them daily, whenever we eat. And these are a prompt for us to go back into it and say, hey, wait, this is really cool. Wow, God, you're amazing. I'm so lucky that you're my God. Great. So this is brachot at daily prompt. So I'm going to just talk about them, all the brachot. There are many of them, but I'm going to talk about the 8s because it is Tu B'Shvat, which is the birthday of the tree. So I'm going to talk about that bracha. So we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, pray for 8. Blessed be God, King of the universe, who creates the freedom tree. But look here, let's actually break it down, because we're going to make this whole saying the blessing a very meditative experience, like a mindful thing that we just focus on each word and it becomes powerful. So let's start. So you say Baruch, which is source of blessing, as my sister says. God, please come forgive us the blessing. And I like to think of it like, a well. God is just full of blessing that he wants to give. And now we're opening up a channel for it to come through. Ata, are you? Notice this is in second person. It's not saying, it's him, it's as you, because I'm glad at a personality with Hashem. It's like a date with the King 24/7. Hashem is with us all the time, and we talk to him. He's just part of our lives, and he's just right there. You can say, God, I need help right now. The robot's still red. He's right there, and he's just part of you, and he's giving us personal attention all the time. So we're lucky that he's very involved in our life. Hashem. So we're saying Hashem. Now, the word Hashem is not the actual what's really written there. It's Yud, Hey, Vav, K. I'm not going to say the actual word because we're not meant to. That's part of the idea of the sun and the rays. Hashem is actually it seems some kind of way to say, it means the name, because we can't say Hashem's real name because it's too powerful. It's like the sun. So instead we say Hashem, which refers to that thing, that entity that's beyond our comprehension. But Yud K Vav K actually it comes from Ihyeh Asher Ihyeh, which means whenever I see this word Yud K Vav K, I just think of it. I am, I was, and I'll always be. I mean, Hashem is, was, and will always be. Hashem is with me right now. He's been with me my whole life. And he will always be that even if the world ends, he'll still be there. You know, there can be a nuclear, whatever, and he'll still be there. He's literally forever. It's great. So he's going to be the source of blessing, giving me personal attention forever, which is awesome. Okay, so we have Elokeinu, which means source of all power, source of all strength. Now, the Greeks never believed this because the Greeks had a god of this, a god of that. They couldn't believe that one person, one thing, not really a person, one entity could be the source of everything. You just pray to one and the winds are controlled and the water's controlled and everything's perfect. But we know this from Judaism, that God is the source of all the powers in the world. Everything is just subservient to him. Let's make space on the page. We have Melech, which means all-powerful king, like an old-time king, no constitution, no parliament, it's just him. But he's the king that actually deserves this kind of power. So whatever he says goes. If he says off with their head, it happens. If he says you must give your horse to him, it must happen because he's the king. So realize that he is the king and benevolent, whatever that thing, a caring king, but he's got all the power in the world. Ha'olam, which means of the universe. Notice the word in it, alam, which means hidden. Even the parts of the universe that are hidden from us, which is kind of cool because it could be also means parts of around us that we don't know, but maybe there's other universes we don't know. Borei, it means creator. Notice it's present tense. He's creating each moment, as I talked about a year ago, kind of the time I gave a shiur about Hashem and me is the animator. This is the thing, Hashem is the creator and he's creating the world every moment. Then Puri 8, fruit of the tree. Whenever I look at this, whenever I see this word, I get this like juxtaposition. You have the fruit, which is like fleshy and you can eat it, and the bark of the tree, which is like hard and sturdy. I'm so glad we're not eating bark, but at the same time, I'm so happy that the tree actually has the bark, so it's sturdy. So it's a really cool mix. We have the bark and the leaves in the tree. So when I think of it, I think of these like juxtaposition. This is so cool. And this prayer 8 is also, of course, the opportunity to meditate on all the stuff we've discussed until now, which is the craziness of creation, seeds, plants. There's just so much to know. And if you just look at what you're holding and just examine it and just use your intellect and be like, what would it be if this lychee skin was softer? Maybe what would it be like if the nachi skin was thinner? What would it be like? Just think about why it makes sense that the way it was created. Why does it make so much sense that this apple's got this kind of skin and the nachi's got this kind of skin? And why does it make so much sense that the pomegranate's got so much seeds? Like it's just edible seeds. We just think about it, you can use, just noticing it. And even just look at biology. We talk about grade 12, we learned plant hormones, which sounds cool, but it's really just plant hormones. Why do plants know how to grow upwards? Because there's the auxin inside of it, which tells it which way to grow. And the auxin also controls that it goes towards sunlight. And therefore, a plant is that it's growing and there's a tree on top of it, it will, if the tree is blocking it and won't be able to do photosynthesis properly, it'll grow towards the sun because of the auxin and therefore grow. Like there's just so much stuff in creation. And if you see, we just think about everything was put, like Hashem planned this all out from the beginning, and he put everything in the DNA so it can keep happening forever and ever, which is really, really cool. And when you finish this bracha, I said, maybe just think of one thought and have two, because people are usually around. And when people say Amen, they're saying, I believe it too. So they take this verse that you just said, Baruch Atah Hashem, you've thought about each word and it's very powerful. And you've made this really strong connection between this world and Hashem. And people say, I believe, and they join you in that connection. They get to use that pathway that you just created. And wow, that just the power of this thought you just created, this beautiful bracha is magnified by people saying, Amen, I believe it too. So yeah, that's what we discussed. So over here we started with the idea of we see God through the nature, because God is so incomprehensible. It's just wow. I mean, we can't even read that first chapter of that book because it's just wow, it blows our mind, and that's just written down. It's really mind-blowing what Hashem is. So instead, as Hashem did, he gave us nature, and you could find him through nature. And And when you look at nature, it's good to go out and look at nature and follow nature back to the source. And when you follow nature to the source, it's really powerful for us and can build a connection between us and them and helps us with our service of God. And if we don't do it daily, we can have brachas, which we say it frequently. Whenever you say a bracha, you just use the opportunity to connect to Hashem to make us say amen. So now I'm going to finish off with a music. You know, I love my Jewish music. This music is also, again, a kind of music that's on this topic. So you just close your eyes and listen. It's from... By the way, it is a boy singing, not a so you so it listens to the men around us, okay?
Come take a walk and see yourself standing in a beautiful garden serene. See the vibrant rose as it comes to life. Smell the orchids, white like snow. A breathtaking picture, perfection beyond your dreams. Look, catch every detail, explore every petal with care. A dazzling parade of countless bright colors, each shade is special and dear. And as the softest rain flutters to the ground to awaken a sleeping world, now the secret of its beauties soon unfurled. There's this feeling that takes hold of me as I'm drawn into this picture, into this scene, and suddenly I seem to find my place in your design. Like every sunset brings another sunrise, and every winter fades away.
We'll just talk about the sunrise, sunset. I don't know if the composer contended this, but the idea of sunrise and sunset and winter and spring, just like nature has seasons, we have the winter to prepare for the spring, because even though in the winter we don't see anything happening, there's a lot happening underground. In order for spring to happen, there needs to be a winter. In life too, we also have that kind of Hashem's involvement. Hashem does the same thing. In life, there's going to be winters and there are going to be springs. There are going to be moments where you're working so hard and you don't see anything, and then you're going to see the spring. You'll see the fruit of everything you worked on when you never saw reward. So and just like in nature, you need the winter in order to have the spring. In life too, Hashem purposely gives us moments of winter in order for the spring to happen. So so I hope you guys enjoyed the song. They're talking here about singing, and the idea is that every part of creation sings. We have the birds that have a shira, they have a song. Our brother Shmuley had a whole thing about Perek Shira, and everything has a unique song. And as humans, we also have a unique song, the song of our struggles, the song of joy, the song of sadness. And also when we notice, you say, wow, that's a beautiful bird. God, you're amazing. That too is song. And in fact, that we as humans can amplify that song. And we talk about in Hallel that what a powerful moment. We only have this world to sing the song. And we're just grateful for all these opportunities we get to sing to Hashem and join in the chorus. We say it, I don't know where I say it. In Davening, we say in the morning also, we talk about how Hashem, you choose who you want to hear. And Hashem, please help me be that song that I want to be part of that chorus singing to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed the song. In the PA, you can find the song on YouTube. It's a great